race for second eights. A great start indeed on the far side, King's School. Very firm start by that crew. In 7 was Shaw. They perhaps got away brighter than King's School. In station number 6 was Sydney High, equally fast off the start. Then we came across course to station number 5, St Ignatius, and what a great row they're having at this point. In station number 4, Grammar, going quite well indeed. In 2, Newington, very bright indeed, and maybe just overrating slightly at this stage. Scots College in station number 2, and St Joseph's, a steady rate of striking in station number 1. St Joseph's first of all, blade work good run, they look a strong crew, they average 12 stone 5, and they're taking full effect of their power and weight as they go down the course. Scots College in station number 2, just in front of the umpire's boat, receiving a slight steering instruction there, but no worry to them. They sit well up to their work, a different style to any other crew, and their brightness is going to be the key if they're going to have any success in the event today. In station number 3, Newington, going quite well indeed. Not a polished crew, perhaps their rush down the slide is just a little too much, not letting the boat run, but they're going quite well in station number 3. Grammar alongside of them. Grammar, a longer and a greater forward swing. Good coverage of the blades. I'm just looking at their boat run. That's quite good indeed. And in station number 4, they're comfortably placed. In number 5, station number 5, St Ignatius. And this crew must be the favourites for the event. St Ignatius, this crew has done everything required of it in its training, and undoubtedly their experience is telling here. They're a strong crew, and as you know, they'll represent New South Wales in the Youth Championships. I beg your pardon, their first 8 will be doing that, but this crew has been racing very well indeed with their first 8, and in station number 5, St Ignatius is going very well indeed. Alongside of them, as we go across the course, we have Sydney High School. High School dropping well back at this stage and would be last in the event. In station number 7, Shore School, a good clean exhibition by the Shore oarsmen, but they have a way to go. They're well placed at this point as we come up to roughly the mile mark. Shore School in station number 7, and on the far side, King's School perhaps finding that station a little too much for them, right over on the western side of the course. In the centre of the river, St Ignatius, sitting well up to their work. They are not a polished crew, as I mentioned, but their blades are being locked into the water. They have good body swing, and you can we can see their knees going down very, very hard indeed. Grammar in station number 3, ranging up alongside of them, and we see Grammar perhaps struggling a little bit with their work and starting to drop back. Newington in station number 3, I beg your pardon, Grammar in 4, Newington in 3, and Scots trailing out in station number 2, and St Joseph's College on the eastern side in 1. St Joseph's was a crew that we felt might challenge the St Ignatius crew, but they've dropped well back indeed at this stage and have little chance of overtaking St Ignatius. Across on the far side, we go to station number 7 and Shore School, and perhaps because the pace they're getting from King's alongside of them, they're starting to move up on to the St Ignatius crew. Looking at Shore, they're getting good coverage of the blades, they're coming well forward, good run between strokes, a very even rate being set there by the stroke. I can't quite get it, but it looks something like about 35 or 36, and they're going very nicely indeed on that western side in station number 7. They average about 12 stone 1, so they're a comparatively light crew, but they're certainly handling the conditions quite well, and if they have the fitness and if they have the strength, they ought to be able to row down the St Ignatius crew. But looking back in the centre of the course, it's still St Ignatius with a handy lead over Shore and the rest of the crews. Something about St Ignatius and their application of that blade to the water. They get it in and they really pull it through, and it's in this centre section of this course that they will probably take full advantage. If they sprint here and move further away, I believe they're going to be untroubled to go on and win the race. It's at this point, as I said, if they have, as I believe they do, have the power, then they certainly will go further away from the rest of the crews in this race. Looking at Shore School again in 7, Shore being the only real danger to St Ignatius. Shore, we see, is still under control. Perhaps their work has shortened a little, and some of the body swing is starting to fall away, but power is still being applied. But alongside of them on the western side, we see King's moving up on Shore School. Kings, if they intend to sprint from here to overtake St Ignatius, will row a wonderful race. but with their power, they certainly are rowing down Shore School. Kings on the far side, the western side, station number 8, rowing up to and about to go past Shore alongside them in 7. But again, in the centre of the course, we still see St Ignatius full of power, full of drive, and still excellent blade work, good coverage, and they're rowing a great race indeed. Yes, St Ignatius will, I believe, find the rest of this race a fairly simple one for them, although they still have a fair way to go. And as we see it at the moment, St Ignatius moving further ahead. The challenges which came from Shore, they've been met. The challenge which came from Kings still has a lot if it's going to materialise as far as St Ignatius is concerned. And away goes St Ignatius down the river, comfortably in the lead in this race for second eights. A great exhibition from them. They're plumb in the centre of the course, good steering from them, and no worries at all as they go down the river, well clear of the other crews in this second eights. I believe that there's no chance of any crew getting near them. The only danger, Kings on the far side in station number 8, and they make another forward move as they come towards the last quarter of a mile. But they too will find the job a little too much for them, I believe, as St Ignatius down in the centre of the course, well away, and as we cross to Norman Way, undoubtedly clear leaders.
So from the western bank we see St Ignatius right in the middle of the stream, putting on a very powerful and rugged exhibition of rowing. The distance between first and last in this race is a wide expanse of water. I'd say Scots in station 2 would be in last placing, and they're a long way back. You see this crews are spread all over the river, possibly 10, 12 lengths between first and last. But it's St Ignatius in the middle of the river going very strongly indeed. Over on this side, Kings, who won the first 4 events on the programme, would be running in second place. Third placing would be Shore in station 7, then right across to St Joseph's in station 1. And there we see Kings and Shore going through, and then it's a long gap back to St Joseph's over on the far side. And then in the middle of the river we have Newington and Scots there, well back with Sydney High. And you see how much water there is. There are gaps of a length, 2 lengths between first and second, second and third, and on we go through the race, and right back to Scots and Sydney High, who are a long, long way, possibly 10, 12 lengths behind the leading crew, St Ignatius, and they're coming up now with 150 yards to go. Is St Ignatius well in front? Kings are going to be in the finish again, possibly in second place. Third would be Shore and St Joseph's fighting out third. Then a long way back to the other 4 crews, and we speak of Grammar, Newington, Scots and Sydney High. Now St Ignatius, less than 100 yards to go, in perfect conditions now, in glorious sunshine. This very strong, powerful crew is coming up at about less than 50 to go, and it's going to be an easy win here to St Ignatius from station number 5. A couple of strokes left, you'll hear the gun. It's coming up in a couple of seconds, and here's the gun coming up for St Ignatius. St Ignatius first. Second placing will be to the King's School. Third placing will be Shore in station number 7, Kings are in station number 8. That's first, second and third. Let's go right across to the far side of the river to St Joseph's, who will finish in 4th place. 5th place will be Grammar, and the only real race here is Sydney High, who's being cheered in front of us in their race to beat Newington on the far side. So Sydney Grammar going across in 5th place, then Newington, High, Newington, and finally Scots. So let's run through the order again. We had St Ignatius, Kings, Shore, St Joseph's, Grammar, High, Newington, Scots. And that's how they finished in the second eights. We'll have the official result a little later on. So for the first time in this afternoon's programme, the King's School has been defeated. St Ignatius first, a very good performance by them. King second and Shore third. And right through the day we haven't seen a close race as far as the finish has been concerned. Every race has been won comfortably, and it appeared then that the margin by St Ignatius was at least a couple of lengths. But to comment on that race before the feature event on the programme, which comes a little later on, that's the Schools Championship 8s, we'll go down to the river again to Laurie Steptoe.
Well, congratulations to St Ignatius College and to Father John Ramsey. A wonderful race. They withstood all the challenges, and they've had a wonderful preparation for this event, and they did everything right today, and it certainly was a wonderful row from them, and I'm sure they'd agree with me and be the first to say what a wonderful race from King's School on the western side in station number 8, because King's School started a great challenge and pulled it all the way through, but they just weren't quite good enough to overtake St Ignatius. A great race indeed. Congratulations.